Alrighty, that'll do it for this 2019 season. It's bittersweet that it's come and gone so quick, but I'm glad to be a part of it, at least for 4 races, including this last one in Miami. This is Danny B, and let's go through the last episode of Danny B Needs a Minute for the scheduled season. Alright, so one of the first news stories that I came across, and this came during the time when I was on my honeymoon. I saw this one come out on Tuesday, the first day I was on my honeymoon. Unfortunately for the Fairground Speedway here in Nashville, it looks as though that may be going away entirely. The Fair Board has unanimously voted to terminate the contract with Fairground Speedway. Many people thought this may be coming with the addition of this new Nashville soccer team, but now it looks as though the team that was there now has 90 days to vacate the facility, and it's unfortunate to see. Who knows what this may bring? It may bring destruction of the facility, or it may bring in a new team for the facility. We'll just have to wait and see what the final result is going to be. GMS Racing made an announcement earlier this week that World of Outlaw star David Gravel is set to compete in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series next year on a limited time basis with the team. Gravel has scored over 50 wins in the World of Outlaws, and now he's set to take on a new chapter in his racing life. Could this be the next Stuart Friesen, a new star in the truck series coming from the world of dirt racing? We'll just have to wait and see. Following his medical condition that came out a few weeks ago, Matt Tifft has confirmed that he will not be racing with Front Row Motorsports next year. And right now it does look as though his racing career is on hold until he can figure out more on what is going on with him. Wish Matt Tifft nothing but the speediest of recoveries, and we hope that one day he can return to the sport. From one number 8 to another number 8, Daniel Hemrick has announced that he will be joining Junior Motorsports in 2020 on a limited time basis, driving the number 8 car for the team. He'll be joined in this ride for 21 races, along with Jeb Burton making 11 races, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. is at least confirmed to race the Homestead race next year in a number 8 car, and possibly one other start at Martinsville. Now here's some more news from GMS Racing's 2020 lineup. They have officially announced that Tyler Ankrum has signed on full-time with the team for next year. I'm really excited for this opportunity. Over the last year or so, I've been able to become a big fan of Tyler Ankrum. He's just as much into kayak fishing as I am, and I think this is a great guy for me to root for next year in a truck series. I'm really pulling for Tyler Ankrum. I hope he does a great job. I can officially put my weird theory to bed. KBM is indeed back next year. Christian Eckes has announced that he's driving the number 18 truck for Kyle Busch Motorsports in 2020. And if his run at Miami and several other runs this year is any indicator of how he's going to do, I think the 18 truck should make it back to the playoffs next year. With the signing of JJ Yeley for 2020, Rick Ware Racing has officially announced that they'll be running 3 full-time cars in 2020. Good luck to Rick Ware Racing. Now, NASCAR wasn't the only racing series that was going on this weekend. The Myrtle Beach 400 got a lot of people talking over the weekend, and it's really weird. It's a late model race at Myrtle Beach Speedway, but supposedly the race started over an hour later than it was supposed to, and the track apparently had a curfew but didn't tell anyone until they decided they didn't want to pay the fine to go past the last 30 laps or so. So when a caution came out with about 30 laps to go, they just called the race, and that's odd. That's not really a race, is it? It's not really like it rained or anything. So yeah, I don't blame people on Twitter to be making a big uproar about this. What is that? Like, there's a curfew for a racetrack? I didn't know that. Shenanigans everywhere. Some news that finally became official this week. Cole Custer will officially be in the 41 for Stewart-Haas Racing in 2020, and Daniel Suarez is out at Stewart-Haas Racing. It began to look more official like this a few weeks back, but now it's finally out there and it's official. Cole Custer is going to the Cup Series next year. The big 3 of the Xfinity Series in 2019 will all be Cup Series rookies next year. I'm looking forward to seeing that battle for Rookie of the Year. Now, with that being said, the new thing being discussed is where will Daniel Suarez go for 2020? There are already a bunch of people in the sport saying that he could go with a lot of different teams, with rumors being said that he could go to replace Corey LaJoie in the 32 car. Some people are saying they might see him going to Richard Childress Racing, possibly in the Xfinity Series and part-time in the Cup Series. But one of these that makes me think this might be more likely now is a team that has been known to struggle with their sponsorship a little bit, and as sad as I am to say this, he could go race at number 43 for Richard Petty Motorsports. And this was made even more clear that this could be a possibility because over the radio, it was heard from Bubba Wallace saying to his team at the beginning of the race at Homestead, and just to paraphrase a little bit, he says, "Bittersweet being the last one, that is if Suarez is getting my ride, but that's a conversation for another time." Hearing Bubba Wallace say that before the race is a little bit concerning, and I hate that for Bubba Wallace, but it would make sense if Daniel Suarez brings in the funding from Eris. We'll just have to wait and monitor this situation over the offseason. Interesting situation for Matt DiBenedetto after the races in Homestead. Well, as they were flying back, he put this out on Twitter, trying to track down who accidentally took my bag after our flight home last night. LOL, this is a process. Our bags look the same and they have some Rick Ware Racing clothing. If the person sees this, let me know and we can swap our stuff. So it sounds like Matt DiBenedetto has the bags of someone with Rick Ware Racing, and someone with Rick Ware Racing may possibly have Matt DiBenedetto stuff. Huh. Interesting. And now Adam Stern is reporting that Fox Sports' 2020 plan is to not bring in a third commentator with the retirement of Darrell Walter, but rather we may see just a two-man commentary team with Jeff Gordon and Mike Joy. This could be a good move. It could be better just to have two people trying to talk to each other instead of three people that might sound like they're sometimes talking over each other. But we'll see what happens with this. I definitely think that Jeff Gordon has come a long ways as a NASCAR commentator, and I'm excited for NASCAR to be back in 2020. And now I've been pushing it off until right at the end. Let's talk about the three races that happened this weekend at Homestead. First of all, the Truck Series race. I was there in person, sat up in the grandstands. I was very impressed, but not really shocked at the way Austin Hill ran in this race. I was thinking that if Austin Hill could have made it to that championship 4, that team was going to win the championship, because I thought that the notes that they had from Brett Moffitt's win there a year ago was still going to hold strong for this year, and sure enough, that truck was the best in the field all day long. He didn't start up front, but he was able to move his way through the field and just do things that the other trucks couldn't do out there. Austin Hill wins the Ford 200. Meanwhile, while Austin Hill was taking the victory, and it's funny, I remember joking about this to my friends from the NASCAR YouTube community who were there in attendance with me as well. I said, you know, wouldn't it be kind of funny if like Matt Crafton finished second to Austin Hill or something? Not knowing that I literally predicted the actual finish. That was it. Matt Crafton, who hadn't won a single race all season, was able to play the cards right, got into championship 4 based on his consistency points, and I get that, and he made it. He played the system correctly. He didn't have to get a single win, and he won a championship because he finished second at Homestead, beating out the other 3 competitors. That's the way the system works. So many people, myself included, may have called that the worst example of this playoff format, but the next day on Saturday for the Xfinity Series, people would call that the best scenario for this playoff format. So all season long in the Xfinity Series, it's been obvious that there has been a big 3 in Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, and Cole Custer. Those 3 guys have amounted for the majority of the wins this season in that series, and it was obvious that they were the favorites to go into the championship 4. Granted, you had Justin Allgaier also there as well. He got his win at Phoenix and deserved to be there. But when it came down to it, Allgaier, although he ran pretty strong, he just was never a big factor in this race like the other 3 were. Even though Cole Custer fell back as far as 30th because of a loose wheel, he still was a big player in this race, and at one time, these 3 drivers were about dead even of each other. And what it really came down to was just who was willing to push the most and who wanted a championship more. That was probably the absolute best case scenario for this championship 4 format. And in the end of it, the car who could push themselves the furthest and get this win would be Tyler Reddick, as he got his 2nd consecutive Xfinity Series championship driving for 2 different teams. Many people questioned his championship last year and wondered if he had earned it. This year though, there's no question about it. Tyler Reddick really did earn this championship. Congratulations to Tyler Reddick and that number 2 team, and congratulations to Christopher Bell and Cole Custer on their performances this year. It's no question why these 3 drivers are going up to the Cup Series next year. They have all done a great job of serving their time well in the Xfinity Series to hone their craft of racing, and I believe that this may be one of the most competitive rookie classes that we will ever see in the NASCAR Cup Series because of the experience that these guys have already been able to rack up. And then on Sunday, the big day, the whole year has finally boiled down to this one. It's the final championship race to be held at Homestead Miami Speedway. Who would go out as the last winner? The championship 4 came in with 3 of the Joe Gibbs drivers and Kevin Harvick from Stewart-Haas Racing. The race would start off with Martin Truex Jr. looking as though he could just run away with the championship. He really did look fast. However, midway through stage 2, when they came in for a green flag pit stop, the team made a crucial mistake. They accidentally put on the wrong set of tires on the wrong side. They had to come back in and do another 4-tire pit stop because they got the tires entirely wrong. Left sides went on the right sides went on the left side. Many people think, well, why does that matter? Well, actually, depending on the side of the car, the tires are actually different. So yeah, you can't run around like that. It's going to mess up your whole race car. This would put him down a lap. However, after a caution from John Hunter Nemechek, he would get back on the lead lap. He would have a long ways to come up though. However, he just wasn't able to get there. He would finish second. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin's team would make a crucial mistake as well later in the race as they put on a little too much tape, and Denny Hamlin came into the pits again, pretty much looking like a steam engine because he was overheating. Kevin Harvick had his moments where he looked pretty good. He got off to a lead right at the beginning. However, he just wasn't really as much of a competitor as most people thought he was going to be. In the end of it though, Kyle Busch was able to get out to just an incredible lead over Martin Truex Jr. and he would run this race to the end as the leader, and Kyle Busch is the 2019 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion. He's the final person to win the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Championship though, as Monster Energy will be leaving as the title sponsor of Florida Sport, and he's the final person to become champion at Homestead, Miami. It's bittersweet to know that I was there for the final championship race. However, I do want to wish again congratulations to Kyle Busch and the 18 team on your second Cup Series championship. What a season. I'm so happy that Danny B Talks has allowed me to be so close to a lot of the action this year. I can't believe that this year is finally done. What started off as simply an idea that I had that was called 60 Second NASCAR, then turned into Danny B Needs a Minute because the name made more sense for my channel. And now I can't believe that even though I didn't even start this thing at the beginning of the year, I started maybe halfway through the year, but it feels as though a whole year has gone by. This will indeed be the last scheduled Danny B Needs a Minute to go out this year. If some big breaking news were to come out, yes, there may be a Danny B Needs a Minute that comes out, but until then, Danny B Needs a Minute will be taking a break. I'll be focusing on some other content that you guys would love to see on this channel, and I'll be working on a vlog from my trip down to Florida. And until then, I will see you guys in Daytona. Bye everybody.